morning, everyone. I'm Pastor Walter Stuber of the First Presbyterian Church here, of course, and I'll be the officiant today. Before we begin, if you could join me in the ancient Christian tradition of making sure your cell phones are silenced. I know I have to do that every time I go up here too, because my mom would probably call at just this time. Always. With that being said, hear these opening words of our service. In life and death we belong to God, and we are created to glorify God and to enjoy God forever. We are here to celebrate the life and mourn the passing of Carole Van Fleet, and our service today will include some time of sharing from family and friends, so I'm going to walk around with the microphone. If you have anything you'd like to say, I'll have some prepared readings from family, but other additions would be appreciated. And also at the end, right after benediction, I will leave the family out for the reception downstairs, which you're of course all invited to. All right, with that introduction, let us begin our first hymn, 461 or 467. We'll sing verses 1 and 2. Thank you. Please be seated. Besides her 3 children, I also have some notes written from relatives of Carole's brother and a cousin in North Carolina, where she was originally from. They were not able to make it today, but I'll be reading words from the 3 children in alphabetical order. And after that, I'll be coming around with a microphone as well if anyone else would like to add something to remembrances of Carole. This is from David. My mom was the kindest, most thoughtful person I have ever known. She was always there for us, our children, our grandchildren, attending concerts, sporting events, graduations, and church milestones for all. I will always remember going to church with her as a child, and her continuing this tradition became even more meaningful as an adult. Her caring and generous spirit made her perfect to take on the role of deacon at her church, a calling that she loved. My favorite childhood memories are from our trips to North Carolina to visit my mother's family. I enjoyed seeing where she grew up and hearing stories about her youth. She loved to go to the ocean, although she didn't like to swim. And she came from a big family, and it seemed like we met a new relative every year there. After Dad passed away, she stayed active with her church, Bone Builders Exercise Group, and the Widows Group, attending shows at the Merry-Go-Round Theater with friends at Auburn, and her weekly lunches at Foster's with Nina Granger. Her greatest love was spending time with family, holiday get-togethers, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, birthday celebrations, dinners at home and out, time spent together at Duck Lake. I'll miss our weekly lunches with Eric, where we discuss children, grandchildren, and the farm. Most of all, I'll miss sitting with her in church, but I know she will always be there with me. Now from Deb. My mom had a very loving heart and a sweet soul to everyone that she knew. Her brother, Ben Moore, said that she took after her grandmother, Maud Foy Moore, who everyone knew to be the person in the community that was loved and no one could ever say a bad word about. He also mentioned that when she was young, on one of her first dates, she and her boyfriend had a small car accident. When she got out of the car, the young man said she probably wouldn't go on another date with me, and she answered, "You got that right." Her humor was something that everyone loved about her as well. She was married to our dad 55 years, and they had a full life together. They both worked hard to make the Van Fleet Orchard successful and taught us kids to be respectful and hardworking. My father made a promise to my mom's family when they married that he would bring her back to visit every year to New Bern, North Carolina. Many happy family memories made with her and a large family on those vacations. Later, when they retired, Dad and Mom had many trips traveling all over the country and even to Australia and Italy together. Their best times were trips to Maine, as she mentioned them often in conversation. Mom liked to have a plan and enjoyed and looked forward to have her bone building classes on Mondays and Fridays. All the ladies she met were wonderful, and she enjoyed keeping active, but most of all, the socialization afterwards were equally healthy for them all. The Widows Group, formed by Lois Waffler, they all enjoyed going for lunch and also had meetings on Saturdays periodically where information was shared to keep them informed. Safe and great friendships were also made. After the passing of her husband, Mom reached out to Nina Granger to have lunch at Foster's every Thursday. Sometimes Mom would bring Liam and Morgan if available, and Mom always had stories to share of their times together. She loved her church here at the Wolcott Presbyterian Church, as she would come home and share her news of coming events, yard sales, dinners, meetings, strawberry festivals, etc. Her strong faith in God and God's love was always in her heart. Each morning and night, Mom would talk with me about her plans. It was a couple weeks ago that she was reminiscing about the neighbors on Wilson Road and said that she was the only one left of the original people when she first moved there in 1962. She was a strong woman, and it made me realize how her life had changed, and she always had rolled with the punches. I'm grateful for every precious memory she gave all of our families, and we all loved coming over to her house to watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, birthday parties, family celebrations at Duck Lake, and the holidays shared with her. Mom kept a small journal that she wrote, quote, "I realize how lucky I am for the people in my life. I have lost loved ones, but I have wonderful memories of these people. As long as I keep their memories alive in my heart, they are still with me," unquote. We can all learn by her example and how to keep her in our hearts. Thank you for all your thoughts and prayers in our Mother's Day. Okay, and from Ken, and I'll be quoting at first a song called "Humble and Kind" by Tim McGraw. I will not attempt to sing it because that would not go well. Tim McGraw says, "You know there's a lot that goes by the front door. Don't forget the keys under the mat. Childhood stars shine, always stay humble and kind. Go to church, because your mama says to. Visit grandma every chance you can. It won't be a waste of time. Always stay humble and kind. The words to the Tim McGraw song have always projected warm thoughts of my mother and the incredibly strong example that she set throughout her life. Prior to this week, I began working on a letter that I intended to share with my mother. A compilation of thoughts and memories that we shared and cherished. I tend to share this letter with her over the Christmas season, but unfortunately, I never got that chance. Looking back on when I was young, I realize now that we may have been considered poor by some, but we didn't know it. We didn't know it because my mom always made sure that we had everything we needed and happiness delivered in the intense love that she had for us all. I suspect at times it pained her that she could not do more, and I remember countless occasions where my mother went without something she needed to give us happiness. Until her last breath, she gave us everything that mattered, namely her time and herself, and she delivered it in unconditional love. My brother and sister and I were lucky enough to have a stay-at-home mom, and growing up on a farm that took a much deeper meaning than most people would envision unless they've lived it. Her days were incredibly full and started with cooking a hot breakfast and all of us eating together at the kitchen table. After we ate, she would transition to clean up, getting everyone else ready to start their day before getting ready to continue hers. She would work long, physically demanding days on the farm, cook great meals, do laundry, homework, and maybe some book work for the farm before settling in, but not before making sure that everyone else had everything that they needed for the next day. But no matter what she was working on or how tired she felt, she was always available for talks, questions, and sharing life's happening at any moment that we needed her. This was always consistent throughout my life. My happy memories of my mother are endless and bright as a summer sky full of stars. In the very early days, playing in the orchards while she picked up apples, sitting and talking with her in the kitchen while she worked on a meal, sharing my silly childhood dreams for the happenings of my day while always getting her full supportive attention. And again, watching her in later years as she showed my children that same joyful love while playing games or working around the house. She knew what mattered and she made it happen. So when I reflect on the beautiful person that I was lucky enough to call my mother, who in her own words lived a great, full, and very rich life, I think of the example that she set that I needed to more closely follow. I hope that we can all honor her by living these words, quoting Tim McGraw again. Hold the door, say please, say thank you, don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When the dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. This is from a cousin John. No one in your life will ever love you as your mother does. There is no love as pure, unconditional, and as strong as your mother's love. Quote from Christine Northrup, Mother-Daughter Wisdom. These words hold true today as I think of my aunt. Beautiful on the outside and beautiful on the inside. Never a harsh word, but with us through thick and thin, in sharing words of wisdom and willing to listen. I will miss hearing your voice, your laughter, and our conversations. You embodied what all mothers strive for in their lives, the commitment to family, which is one of the greatest gifts. And while you are gone from us now, I know that one day we will all be joining together again as family in heaven, something I envy with you now. Just know I always loved you as mother, with the mother's love, and it was a blessing to say, love you, Aunt Carole. And last but not least, from her brother Ben. What is love? In 1 Corinthians 13, chapter 13, verses 4 through 8, is a favorite Bible verse about love. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrong. To To me, my sister Carole was love. I remember as children, Carole, Sandra, and I held puppies on our laps. We were sitting side by side on 3 concrete blocks. As we grew older, we would laugh and say that only one of us could fit on 3 concrete blocks now. Laugh out loud. Special memories of Carole would always make me smile. How I wish we could have her back for just a little while. The fact that you are no longer here will always cause me pain, but you are forever in my heart until we meet again. Love, your brother Ben. All right, I will now grab our handheld mic, and if you have something you'd like to share, please raise your hand. Thank you. Okay.
I have known Carole for a short while, but during that short time, I could tell that she was a very lovely, thoughtful individual. I met her at the loan building class, and after a couple of meetings, she invited me and Joyce Gallo to go for coffee at the village. And we got to know one another very, pretty much. And I enjoyed talking with her and visiting with her, and I also knew her from the Widows Group. And I'm going to miss her smiling face and her kind words. May she rest in peace.
Amen. Thank you. Okay. Lois's hand, another hand.
Carole was very special, very sweet, humble, beautiful soul. She loved her family. She worked hard and was involved on the farm. And she was part of a group, 2 groups that I was in. I speak especially of the Widows Group. She was concerned about other people. She not only was concerned, she acted on that concern. She would go and pick up other people in the group and make sure they got there. Not just one, but sometimes 2, maybe 3. She will be missed.
Okay.
I should probably have my mother tell this story. I think it was my grandson's first birthday party up Saranac Lake. And my mom and Carole were driving together to Saranac Lake for the party. And they thought they had a pretty good idea how to get there. But today's technology with GPS, I think they kind of struggled a little bit. But anyway, they were having lunch at the Cracker Barrel, which is along Route 81. And I'll get to that. And so anyway, we're all at the party, wondering where my mom and Carole are. And time goes by, and eventually they showed up. And the moral of the story was that, I don't know, they ended up in Canada. I guess it was mostly because they didn't realize that Cracker Barrel was in Watertown, and Watertown was the key area that they were in to get to Saranac Lake. But they didn't know they said they were never in Watertown.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's see who's raising a hand and who's itching a head. Okay. Yes.
I was blessed for many years having Carole participate in the Bible study when we read. Jesus, when asked what the greatest commandment is, said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. What I experienced from Carole was exactly that. Thank you.
I'm not sure I see any other hands, but I'll give it a 3 count. Going once. Going twice. 3 times. And all God's children said amen.
the Lord of hosts will provide for all peoples a feast of rich food and choice wines, juicy rich food and pure choice wines. On this mountain he will destroy the veil that veils all people. He will destroy death forever. The Lord God will wipe away the tears from all faces.
Reading from the book of Ecclesiastes. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden that God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all of their toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him. Whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before, and God will call the past to account.
My reading is from John 14, 1 through 6. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If you were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. Thomas said to him, Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how will we know the way? Jesus answered, I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. This is the word of the Lord. Please join me in a prayer of illumination on these scriptures today and my message about them. Please bow your heads and let us pray. Lord, I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts will be worthy in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. So in October of this year, my wife and I celebrated our 16th wedding anniversary. And we had a really great plan for that. We had never been to Atlantic City, North Carolina, which is in the Outer Banks area, very picturesque. And not only was this a nice place to go, but it just so happened there was a medical conference there that my wife could charge as a business expense. So, you know, we could stay on somebody else's dime to go there. This was a really great plan, but Hurricane Florence had some other ideas for us. We weren't there at the time of the hurricane, that was in September. But we had to go further inland because the conference was had to be rescheduled due to some weather damage. And it just so happened that I drove through New Bern, North Carolina on my way to the new site. And I remember Carole telling me about how she had grown up there. And one of the curious facts about New Bern is that it's very close to a Marine base, Camp Lejeune. And it just so happened that a Yankee from Wolcott, New York came to the South. And one night when he was, had some time off and she happened to be a senior in high school at the time, they both went to a roller skating rink in New Bern and met each other. Had, I don't know if it was love at first sight, but they quickly did fall in love, and not there too much longer after that, she was married at age 18, a week after high school graduation. She always stayed very close with friends and family in North Carolina, though, as I believe you heard from some of the earlier comments, that one of the deals that, we had, or Ken had to do to convince her Southern family to allow Yankee to take their daughter was that he would come back to visit with her every year, and they faithfully did that together for the 55 years of marriage, and we refer to some of those wonderful summers down there on the Outer Banks where the kids and probably grandkids too, maybe some great-grands got to swim in the Atlantic Ocean, and it was just a wonderful blessing that I got to see that little part of her life, and we talked about it in the Bible study, and I know she was even concerned about her brother. We prayed for him in church then, who we heard from reading today. She was just, wanted to give you that snapshot of her life to show what kind of loving and caring person she was. I can't, improve on all the remarks that I've heard so far, but just sort of to go through a timeline in my own head of life here, or her life in general. She moved up to Wolcott and never lived anywhere else, at least permanently, though she and Ken and the kids did lots of traveling. She went away as far away with Ken as Australia and Italy. The road trips around just this area were something they'd like to do. Ken didn't particularly like to travel on a road that he had been on before, so they ended up taking lots of back routes and other ways. The kids mentioned that to me, and grandkids too. Apparently, he also didn't like to spend any more on gas than he had to, so he might drive an hour and a half out of the way to the Oneida Reservation to save that 3 cents in taxes or whatever it was. But she was a very patient and flexible person, and just a truly good soul. There's no country song that I don't want to make the preacher lie at my funeral. I don't know if you've ever heard that one. I think I can say I've never actually lied at a funeral. I've spun things a little bit. Like, I knew an old man who kind of cussed like a sailor, and I said he had a strong personality, which was true after fashion. But with Carole, I don't have to do any spinning or selective talk whatsoever. It's she was a wonderful person who church and family were very much a part of her life. Bible study, and as John mentioned, she was often a peacemaker in a group when, believe it or not, we don't all think the same, and even in church, and there'd be arguments over politics or social issues or whatever else. And she was very good at kind of keeping the unity of the Spirit going. We've heard too from some of the people who spoke today, Lois Waffler and the Widows group, Joyce Gallo, I believe the Bone Builder group, Nina Granger. I'd see them at Foster's pretty much every Thursday if I wanted to stop there and learn about the latest news or prayer concerns, as I like to call it, rather than gossip. But they were there and would share a word with me. She even had a good sense of humor, and I remember one time I got teased by her a little bit when I came to a church function with a bag of apples that was not from the Van Fleet farm. I think it was from college or something like that. So the next week she definitely brought some Van Fleet apples so that I would know the difference. She brought her famous mac and cheese to about every church potluck and rummage sale or whatever else we were throwing. I believe some of that mac and cheese recipe, at least the recipe, has made it here today for the reception afterwards. And going back to the scriptures too, I believe that it says in Isaiah that in heaven there is no more mourning or crying or tears or pain. As John says, the Son of God, Jesus is there. He's prepared a room for us where there is many a house with many rooms. This is actually, interesting enough, a wedding metaphor. Back in Jesus' day, they didn't sort of so much live in nuclear families like we tend to do. It was with extended families. And so if a young man were asking a woman to marry him, the marriage would only take place once he and his family had prepared a good room or suite, perhaps, for the new bride in his family's home. And so it's Jesus, I think, is saying that when you go to our God eternal, it says in Ecclesiastes, there's a time for everything under heaven, and Carole really did live a full life, though I was saddened that it was only 76 years. We really weren't expecting the heart procedure to go poorly. I knew she wasn't feeling well because I hadn't seen a lot of her good Facebook messages that she'd often put on this week, but or even earlier. But I have a suspicion that maybe her and Ted were roller skating in heaven on Tuesday, just like they did at their first date. Thanks be to God, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Before I say the words of benediction, I'll remind you one more time, I'll lead the family out first for the reception, and then you are welcome to follow us and join us downstairs for a great feast that is prepared down there. Thank you. As you go forth this day, may you go forth with the moral courage to living life to its fullest, as Carole would want for us, and as she did herself. And now may God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and give you peace. Amen.